date to keep in mind Thursday at Churchill is going to be August 19th at Ellis Park, and specifically the mile distance. 4 of the 8 races Thursday at Churchill are maiden events, and this date affects 2 of the races, and the first one's going to be this third race. Looking at the 4, we see she's moving up in class, but ran slightly against the bias for the mile distance that day. Winners were in 4th, 6th, and 10th place at the 2 furlong mark on this date. Stalkers and closers won all 3 of the races. And you see that the 4 was probably too far forward early in this race. Now, she did end up taking the lead here at this second call and lost to a horse that was in 4th place at the second call. Her past races don't look too strong, but looking through the rest of the field, she seems to be in better shape than most that are in here. The 1 is 0 for 20 lifetime, ran a good race last time out on the turf at Belterra, but that just isn't going to cut it moving up in class, coming back here to Churchill. The 2 does get the class drop to maiden claiming that she desperately needs, and she sits way too far back early for me to think that this drop is going to be that big of a difference for her. 5 to 2 is very short on a horse that we've never seen even challenge for a win. The 3 is in the same boat as the 2. No form and getting a drop because she hasn't ran a step in her career. The 5 should be the early speed in here when looking at her last 3 races, but she needs slow fractions to be a threat. I wouldn't be shocked one bit if this 4 horse gives her a challenge early or just sits just off of her to take over coming out of that second turn. Regardless, I think the 5 is going to be forward early, but probably not good enough to win this race as we've seen back in her last 3 at Hawthorne. The 6 could be vying for favoritism, but wasn't her last time to win last time out. I don't think you ship to Belterra at this point in her career to take a shot. That was a race she was supposed to win, and clearly the public felt so too. She was 6 to 2 in that race and ended up coming in second, off by 3 1/4 lengths from the winner. She's a player, but at short odds, you have to start questioning yourself, is she worth it at that short of a price? The 7 hasn't shown much at all. Ran an average race last time out, but never made up any significant ground on the leader or any other horse in that race. And then lastly is going to be the 8. Comes in with an okay race last time out, but couldn't finish on the turf. Looking at her dirt race at Keeneland, I think that says it all. 3 back. She needs even slower fractions than was projected today to win this race. I lean heavily on the 4 in this race. She has a legit excuse in her last start and is improving her finishing position in her last 3 races. Remembering that August 19th day at Ellis Park for the mile distance, we see the 7 horse in this 4th race come in clearly against the profile of the track on that day. She was setting the fractions early, all the way up through the stretch before being caught late by a horse that was 5 lengths off at the second call. It's also worth mentioning how Jazz Party broke from post 10 in this race, and that's a lot of ground to cover up coming out of the first turn like the mile distance we have at Ellis Park. I'll put the link to my Substack in the description and in the comments. Sign up, you'll get access to these track profiles. They're a good tool to quickly see how the track played when evaluating shippers like this. Now, obviously, Jazz Party getting a drop to the maiden claiming ranks more than likely will be well under this 5 to 2 morning line in the race, which makes sense. She cuts back to 7 furlongs after showing that early speed at the mile. There are 2 first-time starters in here that she'll have to contend with, and that's the 3 and the 8, but the 9 seems to be the main threat to Jazz Party. That April 18th race of this year at Keeneland is a bit sneaky if there were other more legitimate threats in this race. Right now, I venture to say she may be overbet because of this race. For what it's worth, the Inside Post did win both races on that day, and she ended up running winnable fractions. The knock would be the time off after a good race. Not too sure why we didn't see her run at all this summer, but she has been working out pretty consistently, so that could be a positive sign not to worry about her. Either way, I'm going to look to target this August 19th date with the 2 horses that ran against the profile of the track at Ellis Park this Thursday at Churchill.